It's the Dev Friday Show with Mark and Tim.
I don't know. I think I got it up this time.
I hear it.
There's music, but I don't know. It didn't seem as punchy as before. I don't know if my mixer is not as loud. I don't know what's going on. Mark said he came more prepared than last week, and he expected the same of me. And, well, I mean, it is more prepared.
It is.
Right? You can't argue with that. It's more prepared. But
I hear the music. It feels like a show, Tim.
It feels like a show? Well, yeah, you've got... like you're back in your New York City office.
Well-oiled machine of a show that the Dev Friday show is.
We've both hit record.
That's right.
So we'll have better audio going forward, hopefully. Your mic seems a little low. I'm not going to lie. Just a little
low. Gotta bring it up. The springs on my mic are like
literally raising the mic. You're not raising the volume. That's
the springs on my mic arm are getting a little weak. Like it's kind of dropping down. I think that's what happens with age, right? Stuff starts dropping down.
Oh, did you read the title? Are you playing off the title here? Because I saw some tweets that you're feeling old. I had the worst thing happen to me. I told this to some of the guys on the team on a meeting the other day. I was at Walmart getting cough syrup for my wife because we cannot kick whatever this thing is that we continually have for months now. And I guess you need to be so old to buy cough syrup. I don't know. I don't know exactly what I'm going to be making with it.
I know there's the whipped cream.
You have to
kind of thing that's going around and it started in New York about kids like now how to be ID'd to buy the whipped cream because they're doing too much stuff. Remember back when we were kids, Tim? We just did some glue.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why we need the whipped cream. Can't you just go? Do you need to be over 18 to buy contact cement at Lowe's? Because let me tell you, you don't even have to be trying to use that inappropriately. You just have to be trying to put a counter in your house, and you're going to have some interesting visions. But anyway, so I'm there at Walmart and doing the self-checkout, which I don't know if we should talk about. That's technology, right?
I've been seeing more of that happen all over the place.
Do you use the scan and go at Walmart?
I use it everywhere when I go to shop. The least amount of time that I am required to talk to a person in order to complete the sale, okay. Yeah. I prefer. So if I go into like say Best Buy, which I like to go in every now and then, even just to browse or just to see, and then I'll maybe just order on Amazon. But I'd never like to talk to anybody because, like I said, most of the people. Plus, I have so many experiences of trying to ask questions because I'm actually curious, or maybe wanting somebody's opinion who works there, or even honestly, maybe I don't know, and then I feel the answer I get back is such a low technical response that I'm looking for, a low quality response. Okay, I just get frustrated. I just don't want to really talk to many people. So when I go shopping, so yes, when I go to check out and I see the self checkout,
but I'm not even talking about the self checkout.
Oh, you're talking about
the scan and go app in the Walmart app where you scan the products as you take them off the shelves.
I have not tried yet.
And then you just go to the self checkout kiosk.
Okay. Yeah.
And you take a picture. You don't take a picture. What am I talking about? You scan the QR code on the kiosk, and it just you pay for it. It's done. You don't have to scan a thing. You've already scanned it. So if you bring in like some shopping bags or some cooler bags, you just bag your stuff while you're getting in the store, and then just hit the button, or not hit the button, scan the code, and it takes all the things that you scanned while you're going through. Sam's Club had it for years. And just recently, they've added it to Walmart. Now, you do, I think, have to be a Walmart Plus subscriber or whatever.
Ooh, that's where they get you.
That's where they get you. Yeah. But that also means Walmart Plus means pretty much free shipping anything that Walmart is selling on their site. So not free shipping of all the things that are sold on Walmart's site, which is not just Walmart stuff. But anyway, so I was going through the self-checkout with my Scan and Go. So I had scanned all of the products.
And this is an app on your phone, right?
This is an app on my phone, right?
I have seen that like a Giant, which is the the local grocery store around here. They have those scanning kind of guns, right?
Yeah,
or those panels. They've been around for a couple of years. Yeah, so you attach to your card or something like that, but you can just hold it, you can scan it, and it has a nice display, so it kind of can see like a list of I'm fostering kittens in my office.
I was wondering what was going on.
And cats are just starting, all of a sudden, when I'm starting to do the show, they're going to start jumping on top of me. So that's going to happen.
All right. Well, all right. Those, I'm sure, if I'm not mistaken, there probably is a market on YouTube for cute cats. So maybe we have to bring a little of them in, and I can see a tail. Yeah, there we go. All right.
So like I was saying, where I've seen them before. My wife got into that for a bit. She liked doing that because it actually does speed up the checkout. So as long as the gun or the scanner works correctly and you get a correct list of the items you scanned in, it's just basically, you say you take it to the checkout. It gives you like a QR code that it scans in, and then you're good to go, and you exit. So, but now they have it integrated with an app, like you're saying at Walmart, which takes that whole separate kind of technical piece out of the equation. It makes it easier, more accessible. You can just use your phone. You don't have to like worry about touching a dirty old scanner gun that many other people have used before you. So
right. So you just scan it, and then I as I got the stuff, cough syrup, and a couple other things we needed, scanned it, put it in the cart, and even told me it's like, hey, you're gonna need to have your ID to purchase this. And I was like, okay. So I go there, I scan the QR code on the kiosk. It says, boop, we're contacting an associate who was literally standing like a foot away from me with his back to me looking at his phone, because that's how we communicate now. Mm-hmm. So instead of me saying, hey, I think I need to show you my ID, I waited for him to read the thing, print off a little card, and then turn around and go, oh, it's you. And I was like, yeah. And he said, I forget. Oh, now I'm not sure exactly how the interaction went, but we both knew that I had to check my ID to buy this thing. And he looks at me and says, not that you have anything to worry about. And I'm like,
because really? then that just made you feel old, right?
Really? Not that I have any. I had already pulled my ID out of my phone. It was in my hand, and he did not even want to see it. Yeah. He did not even.
It's like a common courtesy, right? Like they assume
just pretend that maybe I'm not old enough to buy cough syrup.
You're not a young whippersnapper anymore, so you can. You're good to go. So.
I tell you what, I texted my wife. I forget what I said, but I was like, oh, now I'm going to try to scroll back and find it. But no. Oh yeah. Oh, he says, yeah. This was closer to the actual occurrence, so I have a better quote. He said basically, oh, it's an age check, not that you have anything to worry about. So you're feeling old as you try to get back into the swing of this dev thing. I'm basically having the Walmart people tell me I'm old.
That's probably true. Like I said, I'm coming up to my 45th birthday, so I think I'm hitting that midlife. Hopefully, fingers crossed. And
is 45 midlife now?
I don't know. Like I'm just. Once people get to be 90,
it's Queen kind made it to 96.
True. Once people get to be 90, though, depending if you're in really, really super good shape, because I have seen some older people get to over 90 and they stay in shape and they are able to move around well. But that's really where I think the stuff starts really breaking down once you get to be that old. So you have to start to worry about.
My mom tells me it's not until 60. No, was it 60 or 70? Whatever. She gave me an age, and she says then things start breaking down.
Well, I haven't noticed it. I haven't noticed it too, because I don't know if you saw my tweets over the summer. I got into running over the summer.
I believe I missed the running tweets.
I don't know what I was doing. Because I have a Fitbit. I was keeping track, and I was like, if I ran like 2 miles, 3 miles within a certain time, I was usually doing a little update tweet and kind of keep myself kind of honest with what I'm doing. So my whole goal was like, okay, by the time my birthday is, I want to run 30 minutes. 33 miles in 30 minutes. That was my goal. So basically like a 10-minute mile.
Oh, that's not bad.
So I was doing it. I got up to 3 miles and 33.5. So I was on track. And honestly, from let's say breathing, heart, like beats per minute, I've actually gotten better. But what I have found,
were you running outside?
No, I was just using the treadmill.
Oh, okay.
I would do occasionally, if the weather was nice, I would do probably about a mile run just outside on different kind of inclines, just to do a little bit. But if I want to do a distance, I can't. I haven't tried to like do a full 3. My hope was like, okay, if I can do the whole 3 miles, 30 minutes, then I could actually do a little bit more longer, maybe outside, or do a little bit more during the summertime. Because also heat affects me too. That's the other thing I like doing the treadmill. Where like it's annoying when I'm like pouring. I sweat very easily, so I'm pouring down sweat when I'm running outside. And it's just so much more faster if I'm running inside a building with a treadmill. But anyway, I was doing pretty good, and I was feeling good. Heart rate was good. My breathing's good. But what gave out of me, and I had to cut back on the running, was my knees.
Yeah.
And I totally started feeling that. It's like, and it's kind of like my I guess the ligaments between your muscles and your knees. I can't push it. So I'm like, I had to cut back. So what I do now is I try to do like a mile to 2 miles, depending on how I'm feeling with my legs. and I'll try to do that as fast as I can, just try for the heart rate, and then I'll just do some like kettlebells, some other weights, and work that out. But I was on track. I was doing pretty good with the running, and that was my goal. By the time I get 45, I want to be able to kind of hit this mark. I still feel like my health has improved, but yeah, my knees, just feeling that like coming close to 45, my knees can't take it anymore. So I don't know.
What now, do you have it? Does the treadmill do the incline thing for you?
I can. Yeah, I can. That's what I've done before. Yeah, I was playing with that. So I was, either doing like let's say from a 0 to a 5% incline, and then you can run these courses where the treadmill will go up and down. And yeah, I've done that over time. I find though is I just wanted to see how far I could run, also how fast, just kind of trying to keep a good pace or try to get to a good pace with the longer distance. And I'm thinking like 3 miles is kind of good. I thought that'd be good because I could always do 1 mile. I could always do that. Once I hit 2 miles over the summer, I was like, oh, I could actually do 2 miles. And I was like, oh, why can't I do 3? And I kind of just pushed up that. And I was thinking, okay, I knew I had my limits of how fast I could run. I wasn't trying to push and trying to sprint it because it was like, that'd be kind of crazy. But I was able to at least keep up a somewhat good pace, at least improve. And I liked the fact over the summer, each week I felt I was improving. But then towards the end of summer, I hit a wall with my knees and they just totally gave out. I had to kind of pull back. So I didn't want to hurt myself and, be out of commission. So.
Let's see. Maybe we can do something here because I don't do a 3 mile. So you're doing 3 miles in 30 minutes, or were you setting it to like 30 minutes and seeing if you could do 3 miles in it? I
was just keeping track. Okay, I know my goal is 3 miles. So I'm going to definitely run 3 miles, and then how fast can I do that in? So what I was trying to improve each time was the time.
Yeah, right. So I do most mornings. I do 15 minutes, and how far I get with that. I don't know if I could. I'm wondering if I could do all the 3 miles at the pace that I do, but right now my pace is nothing to brag about at all. But I'm right around 10 minutes 50 seconds for a mile.
And that's the thing too, because what I would usually do is I could run. I actually felt really good at the beginning of summer when I first started doing this. Like I think after like maybe 2 or 3 weeks, I couldn't run a full mile without even going to a fast walk. So I would have to I could run like 3/4 of the mile, and then probably about a quarter of it I had to do like a fast walk because either my heart would just feel like it's beat too fast or my breath would give out. The legs weren't that too much of an issue, but it was really just a kind of I think it's just a breathing thing. But then once I was able to do a mile without stopping or without slowing down, then I pushed it to like, okay, can I run 2 miles without slowing? And I was able to get it to the point where I could run a full 3 miles without a consistent pace, without having to go back to like a fast walk. But then, like I said, I wasn't able to keep. Once I did that, though, my knees started to really hurt and give out. Because I do find that if you can balance it where you do run as much as you can, but then there's no, pull back the speed, go back from a walk to a fast walk, because that also saves your joints too. So that's what I was doing too. So like I said, as long as I can do 3 miles, if I could run 2 miles consistently at a consistent pace, like without walking, and then that last mile, if I had to kind of break it up here and there, that was fine.
Gotcha. Yeah, for me, it's like I can't. Like right now, I just can't do more than the 15 minutes because I got 15 minutes and then do some weights and then then got to start the day. But no, that's interesting.
Which that's the thing too. I've actually liked getting back into the kettlebells and the weights and trying to also do it at a fast pace to try to keep my heart rate up while I'm doing it to kind of keep it like aerobic. That's why I really love kettlebells because it allows me to kind of do a little bit of both. Do weights,
but it's
because I find too is when I was running doing 3 miles, when I was at the gym, I was focused on running. So then I realized, okay, when I had to pull back and stop running as much because of my joints, got back into doing, weights and push-ups, I felt like, wow, I was really weak. I was like, I must have been like, my muscles must have been atrophy because I also was doing some dieting over the summer. And I was like, okay, I'm doing running. And I was like, my upper body was just totally not strong at all. And so it's the benefit of that to have some balance between the two. I think that's good overall.
I have to say I am just scrolling back through your Twitter feed trying to find the running tweets, and I am totally distracted by all the bizarre content that you retweet and talk about.
Oh yeah, that was something too.
I'm just saying.
I did make a comment that like I think I might want to like delete all my social media accounts at the end of December, but we could maybe talk about that later.
yeah. I don't know, maybe.
So I've talked about this before. Like I use Twitter as like a way to like vent, and like that's not really a good thing to do, especially if you're going to be looking for work in the future, either from a full-time or contract perspective. People are going to be checking out your social media profiles. Probably,
But do you want to work for the people that are like, oh no?
I don't know. It's people can take different judgments about whatever. Even the other thing too with Twitter though, I'm not serious. That's the other thing with Twitter. I'm like,
is anybody?
I try not to be, and I just try to make
other
jokes
than you and me,
be sarcastic.
Aren't they all bots?
That's true.
I thought they were pretty much all bots.
There's only 10% real users on Twitter.
Is that what it is? Is that what it is? The world may never know.
But Tim, I did have I don't know if you had a topic for this week. Because remember trying to be a little bit more professional.
14 minutes in, and we have talked about how old we feel and how terrible we are at running.
Yeah.
So there's that. That's
and I didn't expect to talk about that, so that's good.
No, I don't know. I bet our listeners didn't expect to hear about that.
So I did have a topic.
Surprised. You did? Because I thought I brought the topic last week.
I think
accidentally.
You might have did. Yeah. Accidentally. We kind of fell into it.
We just ranted about why conferences anyway. So yes. Yeah. But what's your topic?
Kind of continuing with that theme, because you brought up something that kind of made or we talking about conferences, talking about submitting proposals for speaking, and also what are the positive side effects of speaking at conferences, especially if you're trying to do networking, trying to meet people that you may want to work for or work with or to apply for jobs. That's all has a lot of good positive benefits. That got me to be thinking. And first of all, let me back up before I even get to what I really want to talk about, because I am actually feeling really good today, Tim. A real positive week this week teaching.
Wow. So you don't need the therapy? Is that what you're saying?
No, I actually think that's good. Like, I'm feeling good. Like, remember, I talked about how last week that I realized coming back to school, we're pretty much back on campus now, 4 days a week, at least for me. Like, I teach Monday through Thursday, pretty much 4 to 6 hours a day. And then you have meetings, office hours, everything like that. But pretty much back on campus, and kind of also remembering, oh, wow, I actually like being around people. And actually having that experience, and I missed that, because having to be remote so much over the past couple of years. And then also, I think a really good set of students. I have I'm teaching the object-oriented class with Python. I talked about that a little bit last week too, and kind of this is going to be my second time teaching it using a different textbook now, and kind of focusing on learning object-oriented patterns and programming with games, using the Pygame library and developing kind of small games and learning how to not only learn how to use Python, but also learn how to program games in an object-oriented way. So I'm looking forward to that. And also, I think this is my second week teaching that class. And I think it's a good class, about 15 to 16 students who I think are going to kind of stick it through. And they seem to, at least about half of them,
stick it through, right?
Well, so usually that's why I said 15 or 16, because I think there might be some fall offs, because once they realize how difficult the course is going to be, they'll probably withdraw after the at least the second, maybe the third week if they make an adjustment.
Can I ask what your starting number is? Or if you're saying
no, it was 16. It was 16, but my conversations with a couple students, I'm thinking they're probably going to, at least I think one did withdraw, and I think another one may. So I think it's going to average.
You're just talking about 2 out of that. That's not bad.
Yeah, it'll be around 14. Which last time I taught the course, it was only 6 people. So that's also, I'm liking the fact that there's a larger course, more variety, and also think the students are into it. Even though majority of them were super skeptical about learning Python, they were like, when I saw that we were doing Python, I have no experience with this, and then they got really, really scared. And I was like, "What? It's okay. It's okay. It's a very nice language."
They were scared because they didn't have experience with it?
Well, because they only have experience with 1 or 2 languages, because these are like second-year students.
Right. I'm just did Python specifically scare them, or is it a new language scared them?
It's the new language in a sense, because most of the students really have no kind of experience.
Right. You're saying it's basically JavaScript that they may have done in another course,
primarily JavaScript.
C.
Well, yeah, definitely JavaScript. Everybody's pretty much taken client-side scripting, because that's the JavaScript course. Some have taken server-side, so they would know a little bit of PHP.
Oh, really?
And then they computer science 115. It's like kind of the 101 course. It's kind of like their programming 1 course. In that they would learn C, C++.
Okay.
But they don't learn C from an object-oriented perspective. So they just learn it from a very strict procedural perspective. So, which I talked about this week, which I thought, learning, even when I learned, and we talked about this, I think, because I talked about one of the first languages I learned in school, even when I was in high school and then going into college, was Pascal, Turbo Pascal. Okay,
yeah.
And you have any experience with that?
No, I do not.
But you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I do. But I missed that one.
Well, it's a functional kind of procedural based language. It's not object-oriented. It's more of an academic language that's really not intended to be used, in kind of professional software. Even though I think Borland at the time, remember that company Borland, which they kind of tried to commercialize Pascal with Turbo Pascal and try to get used more.
Borland had a bunch of compilers though too.
Oh yeah, they were the big dog with Microsoft and
Yeah.
Before
Yeah,
all the other
you
companies
would
brought it
maybe
up.
use the Borland compiler as opposed to another one. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I talked about how like my first languages I learned were procedural. And I think that's a fine way to go, because I think if you can just learn the fundamentals of programming with just functions, right? Functions, procedures, and just learn good ways to programming with that, that's totally fine, because I do feel putting this other layer of object-oriented programming on top of that, then you can kind of build on top of it. And I did talk about the first week and the second week here, where object programming isn't always the best solution for everything, right? But it is good. It is good to learn it so you know if it is the right tool for the problem that you're trying to solve.
The thing that I have pause with, though, is like I was reading up on somebody who's saying, so why do we teach all these different languages to students? And they were making the case for why it's good. Because, well, if you want to teach functional programming, I should use one of these languages. If I want to teach object-oriented programming, these are the languages that excel at that. It's like, but wait a second. You can do functional programming in languages that also support object-oriented programming. Why don't you let the student not have to learn new syntax and structure and white space requirements versus not white space requirements, and how you define variables versus other things. How about we just like take that and say, you don't have to relearn that in a new context and now be like, I don't remember, like, what do I use over here because Python does it different than JavaScript?
Yeah.
And just say, let's teach the concepts in a generalist language. Like, are you really convinced that because you're not learning functional programming in the language that is tuned for functional programming, they're not going to get it?
Yeah.
You're going to teach it at that high a level to these students? That's
no, I totally agree. And I think like I'm talked about this before. The reason why the department introduced Python, and I've had my qualms about, is object-oriented programming, the object-oriented programming course, the best choice to introduce students to Python?
Right.
There's pros and cons. Honestly, it's an easy language to learn, and the class implement or the object-oriented kind of implementation within the language, I think it's actually easy to learn too. So it's fine. But you're right. Like, you could do it if the students learn PHP and server side, you could do object-oriented programming with PHP if you want to do that. Do it in
JavaScript if they're already, if everything is coming from this client side, that's how we're going to get you started. Is with JavaScript.
With ECMAS 6 with the class-based syntax or everything. I did talk about how like JavaScript objects or prototype objects work is a little bit different, but that's getting into the weeds. I don't really, but you're right. You can basically do the same practice with it,
right?
As you could. So
to set some constraints and give the concepts, but But anyway, so you're Python. So they were scared, but now they're.
And then the second week we're good, which I after teaching this course a second time, I kind of have a good idea what didn't work initially, especially getting the students on board. So basically, just this week, just kind of said, okay, this is how you write a Python class. Is how you to determine the properties, which are your instance variables, or your methods, which are your internal functions, or the behaviors of the Python class. Just show them just basically how to write the class, and then also the more important thing too, understand the instantiation process. So if you write a very, very simple class that just has some very simple methods in it, creating an object out of that class, and then be able to run the behaviors methods from that object and then kind of see some results. So I kept it in a very simple way, and I think they actually got it. So actually that's what made me kind of feel good. It was kind of kept it simple, but really kind of just also the second week just threw them in saying, okay, this is how you write a class. This is how you write the methods of the class. And these are some outputs and results you can get from that. And also understanding how you create objects for the class. And I think hopefully we'll see what next week, but I think that they got it. So
good. So
like I said, kind of made me feel good about teaching again.
So you didn't even no therapy needed this week. That's good.
No.
That's good.
So what I wanted to ask you about, kind of continuing on from the conference talk that we were saying, because I think that's a kind of a good avenue to go from, especially if you're trying to network or meet people that you might want to work with or find some work. I was thinking about this week. So I was thinking, oh yeah, teaching's super easy now. I've been doing this for like over 10 years. All my curriculum's pretty much set, or if I need to come up with new stuff, it actually does not take me that long. I'm not stressed. I'm feeling pretty good. I need to get some contract work in. Right? I do need to kind of, for money reasons I talked about, I don't make much money teaching. So I'm kind of feeling the crunch in certain ways there. I think for, at least for this semester, going to next semester, I'm still going to be teaching unless a company offers me a tremendous amount of money, but I don't think that's going to happen because of the way
there's a lot of TikTokers that'll tell you the best way to do side gigs, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, well, we'll get into that. Okay.
Well, will we?
Yeah, well, you can educate me on that.
I don't know.
We're going to go there. We're going to go there.
I don't even you don't install Facebook. I wouldn't install TikTok because of
I don't either. Yeah,
reasons. I mean,
my wife is on TikTok. She loves.
Oh well, then your house is basically TikTok. Owned by the Chinese government.
She loves doing. She loves doing TikToks with. Yeah, don't get me started there. With our dog and her, and now that we're fostering some cats down in my office here in the basement. That
got a little Animal Planet.
Now she's doing now she's doing like TikToks between the cats, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she just tries to make jokes, just like I use Twitter for jokes and being sarcastic. That's the way she uses TikTok for. She kind of just does kind of crazy stuff. But anyway, yeah, let's not go down that rat hole. TikTok. But I was thinking about contract work. And I was like, okay, I need to start getting into this to kind of get back in the flow. And I've talked to you about, that I think that's kind of a good phase, even when I can make the transition. If I do want to leave academia and go full time again, but get back into that experience. So what's the first thing that any developer would do in my position who wants to kind of get back into contract work? Where do one of the first places you go just to find contract work, Tim?
You're asking me like I should know this. So wait.
I think you should know this.
I should know this. To look for contract work.
Yes, look for contract work, developer work.
Right? I mean, I want to say a stupid answer. Like I would go, if it still existed, I would go back to Odesk. Like Odesk was, for those who know me, that was, I love the way they had it set up. They got acquired by Elance, and now it's called Upwork, and I do not think that they're a great place, in my opinion. Okay.
So that's what I want to talk about.
You could go the Upwork route.
Yes, that's what I want to talk about.
I want to say something stupid like, go place an ad on Craigslist. Isn't that where
exactly. Yeah.
Right in the middle of shady RVs that I don't think the person really owns and is trying to sell, and then use playground equipment. There's Mark saying I can make your website. Where do you go? Fiverr. No?
So no, you're right. So this is what I wanted to talk about. So my first reaction is okay, let me check my profile on Upwork. I still have a profile. I think I actually said I'm not available. So I don't think I haven't got any requests because I'm not available. I used to get, when it was available, just kind of random requests like, do you want to test our software? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do just kind of little smaller projects? I did actually get one request. I think it would happen over the beginning of summer.
This is over Upwork.
Yeah, it was kind of one weird request about we're a financial services company, and we need to have you test our software. Since you're a software developer, you could be able to give us feedback. So could you just go to this website? As long as you are a Chase Bank member, which just as long as you are of this bank, just go to this website, fill in the information, and then we'll immediately going to give you $20 just for just completing that process. But then you could be part of our testing.
Oh, good.
Team.
Yeah,
and we'll give you a 5-star rating if you do. Once I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is really feels dirty right now.
This is
got to stay so far away from that.
I feel like they're trying to get your credentials.
Yes, they're trying to fish you. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. But it was official request through. It was official message to my account through Upwork. And the reason why, and doesn't Upwork scan for those? Isn't that kind of that'd be weird? I'm looking at so much of that scamming that goes on.
I got one of these the other day. I don't know if it's even going to be in my spam and blocked because I think Google deletes them. But they were saying, "Hey, it was a similar offer, but they wanted me to cash checks for people." And it's I feel like that is totally the whole scammers, thing. If you I don't know if you watch any of those YouTube channels like the scammer payback where the guy is going into there. That's a whole other topic. Maybe we could talk about.
Yeah, well, mention that my friend coworker, she got hacked. Well, she got phished at the beginning. It was during our professional day meetings, the day of, she got sent a request saying, "Oh, your account or your bank account is getting hacked or whatever." It was a website pop up or something happened. I can't remember. It was an email or some type of. She went to a website and got a message. And she wasn't thinking because she was just thinking about work and we were in meetings. She just clicked on it and then on her computer, she put in her bank information.
No.
Or her credit card information. What they did within 5 minutes. So must have been a scripted bot. Within 5 minutes, they cleaned out but she only had in her main checking account, she had $1,000. Cleaned out the $1,000. And where they use that $1,000, how did they clean it out? They bought Target gift cards.
Well, that is the thing. It's these gift card and what they'll do when you get that, hey, we're tech support calls, and we will, there's a virus on your computer. I don't know if you get those. I get those frequently.
Yeah.
It's not too frequently, but it's hey, we're Microsoft, and there's something wrong with your computer. I'm oh, which one? I mean, come on, give me a break.
Yeah.
And then they just start cursing at me, and at that point usually hang up. But yeah, they'll use like remote software to say they're going to support you, and then they'll like behind the scenes try to go to your bank and use your login information, and I forget how all the scams work, but it's some fascinating stuff, and the people that are battling this are doing some fascinating things too, to then use that. They'll fish the fishers basically. They'll go along, they'll install on a VM. They'll install on a VM that looks real nice. They'll install the tech support, which is legit tools. They're using like legit remote assistance tools, and then they'll do some things that if the scammer doesn't know how they've configured it, they'll sometimes gain access to that scammer's machine, and then pull down loads of data and try to just string them along, find out who they're scamming. But yeah, it's all about gift cards because they don't want to send money by the mail. It's fascinating.
It's an easy transaction you make automatically on the website, because I don't know how much of the information she got that she gave them. I think at a minimal, I don't know if it was bank account or if it was her credit card. I don't know, but anyway, it was pretty much some type of account number that was connected to her checking account, and they got out super super fast. That's what she was actually shocked by, the fact that it happened so fast. Where like it was felt like it was automated. So
well, I think I don't know if it is automated. I just think they have teams that work.
Yeah.
Like my understanding is there's floors of these. It's like the old what was it the Wall Street
Wolf of Wall Street
boiler room type thing, where it's like we're all just trying to sell this penny stock, and it's the same concept. It's just rooms of it. We're finding people. Oh, you've got somebody, but you can't deal with. Let's make it seem like we're big, so we'll pass them off to our supervisor, and then we'll get the information. Then they're working it.
Yeah. All right. So getting back to Upwork.
Oh wow.
Because like I said,
we got that right there. That was a rabbit trail.
Rabbit hole.
We went way off. Yeah, back to Upwork. So when you're not getting obvious phishing attempts through Upwork's messaging platform, all right.
Because I was like, all right, let me just check to see, because I do like the Upwork's kind of stream or feed that it has for like if you put like what type of job, what type of work. So if I put in React, Firebase, React Native, or stuff I've interested in doing, then they brings up a nice kind of list of jobs that kind of fit within those topics, right? So this is nice. I can see different jobs and kind of see what the kind of estimated rate range, either whether it be hourly or fixed priced. So it gives me a little bit of information, then kind of can see, and then I could kind of get an idea if you or how many people have applied for that. If you pay the extra thing, I think you can actually see the rates that people are paying for them, which we'll get into that.
That's what I hate about Upwork now. Yep.
The whole pay to play thing that they have going on there.
That was not part of Odessa.
And then I was like, okay, it's been a while for me. Like I did more work with Freelancer back in the day. Freelancer.com, which I think they are still available. I think is it free? No, Elance. You mentioned Elance. That was
Elance.
Yes,
Elance is Upwork.
No, before Elance became Upwork.
Right. You're saying freelance.
Yeah,
there still is a freelance and solo gig and some of these other I think companies out there.
So I did have a profile on and did some work when it was Elance way back in the day. And then you're right. Then it became Odesk and Elance merged. It became Upwork. So it became a new thing. But I really haven't done, just because of teaching, I really haven't done too much on Upwork, but been keeping a profile in there and just kind of seeing what's available. So then I started thinking, okay, let me just do a research. Like, what are people actually doing? Are people being successful on it? Looked up some YouTube videos, some web articles, and kind of see what people suggested and or what people's experiences are. And then it seems like a lot of horror stories. A lot of horror stories, people now working on the platform or trying to work on the platform. And then it got me thinking about, okay, what are the pros and cons? What are some pros and cons? I want to list that first, and you kind of help me with that.
Okay.
And then eventually want to get to this. Is what I want to do. I want us to build a top 5 better options for finding contract work that isn't Upwork.
Oh,
so you can start thinking about that in your head, right? That's where I want to get to, right? I want to list in not an ordered list, but just a top 5 things that a developer could do, because this is also something that comes up with my students. Like by the end of the semester, they usually ask like, these sites like Fiverr or Upwork, should I do it? And my usual recommendation is if you're starting from scratch, well, what I say is if you're starting from scratch, it's it's a nice exercise to go through, even if you don't find a huge amount of work through it. Honestly, and I set expectations. I don't expect to get paid a lot from the start, right? You're going to have to start low, but these are also students who don't have much of a professional portfolio. So it also gives them a chance to build that professional portfolio first starting out. That is a valuable thing to go through. So I kind of balance my response with that. We're saying, yes, it's a good tool to kind of learn how to get projects, how to start talking to clients, how to deal with receivables and getting paid. And I think in starting with the process, I think it's a good thing to do. But I don't think it's probably a great long term, especially if you do want to be your contract worker, freelance developer. I don't know if I don't think it's the better, even though there are a lot of success stories of people who you were one of them in the past.
Yeah. And actually taught me all the time.
And then we could kind of talk about how you kind of transition away from it, because I think we mentioned that a little bit. But, what was that kind of breaking point for you? That would be kind of interesting to kind of hear about. But first, let's just talk about just generally. I know there's other alternatives too, like you said, Fiverr, Freelancer. There's other ones I just even heard of. I just looked up real quickly, like Hubstaff, Solid Gigs, people per hour. That seems that would be would be a type of site for you, because you love getting paid per hour. So I think that would be a great site you should look into, Tim.
I mean, my perspective on that may have changed a little bit over the years, but yeah.
So let's just talk about some initial pros, like kind of like pros and cons of like using these types of sites.
Of these types of sites, not just Upwork in general. So the one pro, or do you have pros? I feel like we need like some of these little radio stinger things, like the top 5 list now, something like that. And
well, I'm trying to develop a new segment format.
Right, sure. I like this. Yeah. We need to throw another $5 at the Australian guy for him to go pros and cons. Mm-hmm. But we'll have like the one pro as well. There are jobs there.
Yes, there's a lot of jobs there.
It's a pool of jobs. So if you're out there saying, well, who wants stuff done, you can find it there. The truth is, for me and my Odesk experience, that wasn't something that I found all that useful. That's a very interesting thing, I think.
Well, you bring up again the job marks. That was something I was curious about too this week. Because I was thinking, okay, if I would just do specific searches for, let's say, do a search for React, do a search for React Native, do a search for Firebase, do a search for Android or iOS, or just JavaScript in general. And it was interesting too. The one number I was looking for, just the results that came back, and to compare that number to kind of see like, okay, how many jobs really have those keywords kind of into it, to kind of get a sense of which are the maybe more general or oversaturated kind of languages or platforms that you want to be using. That was kind of also kind of interesting. But you said did you have an experience where the more specific you get, the fewer jobs that are available?
Oh, there's so much here that is making me want to tell the how I interviewed myself story. Because it's so relevant. I don't know if we'll get there.
Well, we got to get to the top 5 better options. I said that was the objectives. We do have to get there within our show.
Okay, so we have to do that. All right. Well, no, for me, I would bring clients too. Clients would find me and say, hey, I want to work with you. And I would say, then sign up on Odesk and hire me.
Because that was because you like the billing part. That's
I just like the mechanism. Yeah.
There's a pro and con to that.
There is. I was not so much interested in, and there was a pro and con for Odesk. I don't know if that still exists, honestly, under Upwork, because Odesk would guarantee me the money. Let's just, I don't know if this still exists under Upwork. I kind of doubt it does. Odesk would guarantee if I build and log the hours that they would pay me even if the customer stiffed them. And if for some reason they saw that there was an issue putting a reserve against the customer's card or something like that, they would tell me, don't bill any more time. You can't. So I didn't have to worry. And you say, well, don't you trust your customer? Not all the time. Not the first, some customers that I've worked with for a while, yes. But like a client that I just kind of found, no, I don't necessarily know that they're going to have. You ever been stiffed by a client? Hello.
I have. Yes.
Hello. I didn't have to worry about that, because if I booked an hour through their platform, and people would talk about how invasive they thought Odesk's platform was, because it would take random screenshots at intervals of your screen, and that's
I don't think
fine.
It does that anymore. I don't know.
But I don't know. Yeah. But the deal was they would be able to, through arbitration, to be like, no, you told them you were going to pay him this much an hour to work on this thing. We can see from the screenshots he is working on it.
Yeah.
So he's going to be paid. You don't like it? That's fine. Don't pay him any more. But they would guarantee basically that if I build the hour through their system, I would be paid. So that's why I wanted to use it. They took 10%. Some people said that's a lot, but
Tim, what about 20%?
Is it 20? Are you?
It's 20. It's 20. It may be 20 plus, but I can't know the exact number. But it's at least 20% they take out now.
And I bet they do less because if they don't have that guarantee, to me it was just the simplicity of my mind that I could sit down with my family. Not I would sit down with my family and work, but like with a family, I'd just be able to sit down on my computer, hit start, do some work, something happens, hit stop, walk away, and I did not have to fill out a timesheet or an invoice or remember what I worked on to invoice the customer and then wait for them to send me the money.
Yeah.
No, I knew every 2 weeks I was going to get paid for my hourly billings through Odesk, and the only thing I ever had to do to make that happen was when I sat down, hit start, and when I got up, hit stop. And then understand that, yes, they're taking screenshots. I get that. I was a willing participant in this. It wasn't invasive because I decided I was okay with it. But like I say, if I don't even think Upwork, whatever it is now, has that guarantee anymore. But that's what I loved, is I could just basically say, you do my billing for me, magic money shows up in bank account. Great. Yeah. Everybody pays me by direct deposit because I use you. So when a new customer or client would find me and say, hey, I know of you because I saw you did this work and that, can you build this for me? I'd be like, sure, go to Odesk, sign up, hit this link that says hire me, and then they'll bill you because that's how it works.
No, I agree. And like, remember when we were both doing contracting back in the day, when we first met each other.
Back in the day,
I'd bring this up with you. Like, my primary way of billing was either I would use FreshBooks, I was keeping as my accounting software, which you could do invoicing through that, and they could get paid through that, or just doing PayPal. Kind of doing PayPal invoices, sent them out. I think I also used another service. I can't remember what it was, but but I was using a service. I was usually paying like a rep between, let's say 3% to 5%. It was roughly around there.
Oh, for the credit card transaction.
They would take like a fee for the credit card, and also maybe 1 or 2 extra % over top of that for the service fee. Okay. That would be running through. Also use Stripe too for that. That was kind of a Stripe.
Right.
Set them. But I like the fact that I could keep my costs low, and you didn't mind the 10% at the time because you're like saying it's saving me so much time. I don't have to really worry about the invoicing, the billing. It's automatic, so I'm fine giving that extra 5 to 10%, whatever that number is, because it's saving you time and it's adding value to your business. So
yeah, that was
now that it's 20%.
That's ridiculous. Because I think they're doing less. That's the thing. I think they're doing less, and I hate the fact that they're like, "Oh, you want to," and this is supposed to be pros and cons. So here's the cons. Here's some cons, right? At least my understanding. When you look at it like an Upwork, I loved the fact in Odesk that was the only way they made money was 10%. So if I wasn't billing time, if I wasn't making money, they weren't making money. So our interests were aligned. That's a good business relationship. I make money, you make money. We work together. However, that does mean, I'm sure, there were people scratching their head back after the merger saying, well, how do we make money off the people who can't get jobs? What if we told them if they paid us a little bit more, we'd highlight their profile because they can't stand out on their own? And or then we could make money when they don't even get jobs.
Or if they charge credits to even contact employers.
Exactly, because Odesk, that was the other thing about Odesk, that like you could submit, I think it was like 10. You could submit like 10 things a week, period. End of discussion. You couldn't do any more because it wasn't a spam people thing.
Yeah, there's a balancing act between them because you don't want to, when you submit a job, because that was the other thing I used Elance a lot too in the past too, when I was hiring out work for like, when I hire a designer or developer to work for me in a project. That was one thing, because I totally understood the fact of like, if I put a proposal out there, I had to go through all of those submissions and proposals. I understand the side of like trying to have some bar where like you're not going to put a project out there and worry about getting spammed by like 50 or 100 proposals if there's some type of control to that. Is that
right, that you have
play credits, or is it some type of limitation on it? I don't know.
Right, and I like Odesk's just 10 a week or whatever the limit. I think it was about 10 a week. But then Upwork comes along and says, yep, you get 10 a week, but if you want to buy more, you can totally buy more. And like, yet again, so you can make money when I don't make money. All right, now our interests aren't necessarily aligned because you're finding a way to just make me try to find work, not successfully get it. But that is honestly something you now want because it benefits the company if I don't get the job, because then I want to buy more credits. Yeah. The benefit isn't getting the job. The benefit is not getting the job. So those are diverging interests. I don't like that relationship anymore. So if you're talking about cons, I think Pro, you have visibility into what people are looking for, or what work people are wanting to get done. Con, on the other side, is these markets have evolved into a place where you have to pay just to get access to things that don't guarantee you any work. It's not a when you get work, we will both enjoy the reward. It is no, before you even get work, you need to somehow pay to have access.
And a major con for me, and I kind of want to hear your opinion about this, because I know you I'm not sure what your journey was like when you first started, because you also started these platforms where they were kind of new.
Yeah.
And there was probably the pool of developers that were on these platforms were much, much smaller at that time. So you had an easier time to stand out, and didn't have to, or maybe an easier time also to get jobs. The one thing too, the market of developers or designers that are on these platforms are so saturated now. And you have to almost, especially if you're first getting started or coming back to it like I am, and you don't have too much of a reputation on there because your count doesn't have any 5-star ratings on there.
Right.
You're forced with really low bidding projects, doing projects for, let's say, $10 flat fee to $15, an hour, or just some low amount that you would never take in the real world. But then for somebody, this is what I talk to my students about. If you need to build a reputation, or if you need to build a portfolio that you could show off to, that would help you to get jobs, there's maybe some value to that if you have the time. And usually a student who's coming into the workforce for the first time, they usually have more time than maybe the need for money. So maybe it's, I don't know, it's not always the case, but it may be a better fit for them than it is for somebody who, let's say, like I said, who has a job, full-time job, and they want to get in development and they want to transition to that, but then their time is more limited, right? And their resources are more limited in the sense of like how much time they can put into doing work for almost for free. So I don't know. Did you have experience of that, like having to kind of do some almost for free projects to kind of get started with some clients and to kind of build that foundation?
So when I first started, I was very much a junior developer. I came out of programming for a year at a web hosting company. That was it. So I worked for a very low rate. But that was because my experience.
But you still had a consistent low rate, though. You didn't say oh, I'll do this small website for $10 or $20.
No, I don't think I ever did that. And I didn't. That's where my aversion to fixed bids comes from that side of it. Yeah. I understand the other side where fixed rate or fixed bids becomes much more important, much better, is when you say to somebody, what's it worth solving this problem? And they're like, right now it's costing us 10 grand a month, because of this problem. So for sure, if we could solve this problem, we'd throw 20 grand at it and be like, yes, I can solve that problem for 20 grand. And you're going to be happy because you paid to have it solved. And I'm going to be happy because I know in terms of my time,
that'd be worth it. Yeah.
That's worth it. There's no question. We're not struggling to find out where I don't like fixed bids is where the struggle exists to find out, to pretty much say, well, yeah, if I build you hourly for what I think it's going to cost, that would be this number, and we're both okay with this number. No, I don't like that. The value to the person who's getting the work for a fixed bid has to be significantly more than the value of my time for it to work out well. And I have a whole talk on why. So that's and that's a different story. And that's a different type of contract.
It is weird because if you're in an hourly relationship with a client, your goals and your priorities more aligned.
They do at times,
Like the company is more efficient about their requests, in a sense where because they know they're going to be giving you requests. You're billing for them the time for the request in order to deal with those problems. So they're not going to just blank you with everything, or if they're going to ask you for modifications or iterations on your solution that you're providing them, they'll be a little bit more careful or precise because you're getting paid for that time. I know for companies who have bigger budgets, maybe that's not more of an issue, but for, let's say, a small to mid-sized company, that may be, but that's why small and mid-sized companies love fixed price projects, because they know what the budget is, right? There's not going to go over that. Maybe you could have something in the contract to say, okay, if there is this amount of iterations, revisions, and there's going to be an extra fee or extra percentage or whatever, it's going to be something built into that.
And that's where the fixed price, to me, like in that context, is never a good fit, because you're working against each other.
Yeah.
Versus someone who just comes along and says, hey, we need to do this marketing application for Facebook. We know it's going to bring in X amount. We just know, because the last one we did brought in this much. So for us, the value of this is 10 grand, 20 grand, something like that. And you're like, okay, my time, if I was to bill hourly for that, it'd be in the neighborhood of 5 to 7. So we are we're way aligned. You're going to be happy with it because you're buying something that to you, I pay this much, I get this much reward. Great. I know the task at hand in terms of what it's really worth in my time and my effort is underneath that. And so that there's plenty of room to say, oh, you don't like it, we'll make this change. Sure. So there's plenty of space there. That's where, to me, and I'm not doing a great job at articulating how that's much different, but that's where those fixed bids work. But if we're going to get into pros and cons.
All right. Yes.
So you're saying a con is a saturated
that's
talent
my
pool.
And also the results of that, what happens.
Yeah, and I didn't face that as much because I never felt the urge to try to go a low bid. I mean, there were jobs that I would bid on. So here's how I would use. This is where the available jobs out there is really nice too. Because if there was an API I wanted to do something with or play with or learn more about, I'd look for people wanting to integrate that API. Especially if there's an API that I had done integrations with before, and I'm like, I know how to do this, and I'd like to do more. Yeah. I have a reputation in that field. Oh, you want to build something with this API? Sure, I know all about it. And I wouldn't mind putting bids on jobs where my rate was 10 times more than the average bid.
But you could show that you have a history of working with that API, so you could talk about that. Yeah.
And we talked about this in a past podcast, how I'd use that method to I'd tell exactly how to do it, because go ahead, tell other people how to do it. There's the only reason, if they can see what I wrote and said, oh yeah, we can totally do that just as quick as he can, then okay, then let them do it. But if they scratch their head and say, oh, that's interesting, hadn't thought about that, well, then you realize why my rate is higher. And then you come to me if you can afford it. And if you can't afford it, I don't want to work with you. That's not me being mean. That's just me saying that's not a good relationship for you not to have the budget to afford the work that I do. Okay, pay somebody else. That's great. I think what you're seeing, and it's probably very true, I've not looked at it, is that these job pools have become very much that race to the bottom. And the people who are posting the jobs are looking for the cheapest. Yeah. They're treating it as I want the cheapest, not I want this done right. Until
they go through a couple of those cheap projects and they figure, oh, I should probably hire somebody that charges
right. And then do they do that? And by not even going back to the job pool, I like that job marketplace. I don't know, because that's the trick, is identifying those clients that are saying, I just can't build this myself, and I want someone who's professional to build it. So
top 5 better options than Upwork for finding contract developer work.
I have the feeling that most shows that do these lists already have the list.
And
I'm just going to go out on a limb. I'm just going to say they probably already have the list. There are some premier job marketplaces. At least there were. I haven't looked recently, but there were, where you would actually have to go through a vetting process to get on the list.
Yeah, there's a couple of them.
If you're in your position or my position, like I want to get back into more active contract development with more clients, and I've not done it for a while, going through one of those processes where they may even say, can you speak this language, not English, but like PHP or C++ or whatever you're saying.
So finding a platform that'll vet you for the prospective projects would probably be a better fit for developers.
Better fit for established developers. But it's like they want to, by definition, exclude your students.
Yeah.
So if you can find that those more premier job marketplaces, and you have the credentials to do that, great. Okay. That's a reasonable place to start.
What do you think about doing like LinkedIn posts?
Posting on Microsoft LinkedIn?
Microsoft LinkedIn. I like how you put the Microsoft, making sure everybody knows that Microsoft owns LinkedIn now.
Yes, I don't know what.
Don't know
so by posts on Microsoft LinkedIn, do you mean
I see a lot of people do that?
Microsoft GitHub profile and referencing it there on Microsoft LinkedIn?
Why don't you just work for Microsoft? That seems like the best solution because they're buying up all these developer resources, right?
Apparently, yeah.
Like,
so what type of post though?
I do see a lot of people that we know from like Lehigh Valley Tech Days.
Yeah,
and I'm not an active LinkedIn user, and that's why I'm considering like, should I get back into that? I'm like, is that something I should probably be thinking about doing? I keep an updated profile in there, so if something changes or whatever, I'll update it there. But I do see a lot of people that we know still are active on it. They post.
They post things.
They post articles what they're working on. Maybe if they are looking for work, they'll post a request from there. So, do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, that's interesting. I've never got a job that way. I have used like LinkedIn to message people I know when I'm looking for people and say, hey, do you know somebody who has this or has this background or experience is looking for a job? I do know people that go through LinkedIn looking for people to work. So I can't imagine it would be bad to put on your profile, hey, I'm a contract developer looking for contract work. I think you can do that, right? Like, I think if your profile, you can say, I'm not looking for full-time work, but I'm looking for contract work.
How about cold DMing people on Twitter or Facebook? Like hiring managers,
you have a list,
developers. I have an idea list.
Don't worry.
By the end, I will give the top 5 better options for finding contract work. Yeah, don't worry.
I mean, here's the truth. That's not a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
Now, not the cold DMing, but when I'm looking for when the startup was running out of money, that's what I did. I messaged a couple people I knew. I said, "Hey, I thought you said you were hiring, or the company you're working for is hiring. Is that still the case? Would they be interested in a contractor versus and reached out to some people I know. If for some reason the contract that I have now would fall through, I would go back to reaching out. But that's less of finding people on Twitter and saying, might I do some work from you? And far more of having an established connection and a network. Because no, the truth is here's a secret. Every single LinkedIn message you people send me about your development team that can help, I don't care. I don't care at all. I don't care about the emails, and no, I don't even care about the Twitter DMs. Not at all. I'm not interested.
That's because you only care about finding developers on Craigslist.
On Craigslist. That's right, yeah.
Because we do know that is the ultimate gold mine for finding developer jobs, which that used to be a thing. That used to be a thing.
To put a job posting on Craigslist?
That used to be. Back when Craigslist was actually a valid platform to actually find work, and you felt safe actually using it. You weren't going to get like some weirdo's going to come to your house to like you're afraid to kill you or not. So.
Get killed just trying to pick up a cheap pair of speakers from a guy in a parking lot. Yep.
But how about local user groups, Tim?
That is a good place. So that is a good place. If you can find a local user group who the local user group leader isn't too busy with other stuff to actually have it.
Because we do have some experience that. Remember, you remember like the ratio of people who come to user groups looking for work, or especially looking for somebody to help build their product for them or the project.
So many people are like, so many people. I have this idea.
But I do feel like that was something that
if they also have money.
True. That was always a value I thought of those user groups.
Yeah.
Whether or not they'd be just general tech or very focused, like a P3 user group or something like that.
Right.
You could either find developers who are working or work for a company that you could possibly make a connection with, or you could, like I said, there will be people like managers who are looking for developers who will just go there and just see who they are because they're actively searching for it. You can actually build some pretty good connections there.
And you could find developers that maybe are needing additional help with their whatever work they have.
Yeah,
I know that's happened more than one. We saw the devs that were doing contract work bounce from, I'm working with this person now, or we're collaborating over here. So getting engaged in your local tech community is 100% better than just posting the shingle on the job board marketplace website thing. So
Tom. I'm totally switching gears. That's my manager. I'm thinking because we were talking about managers at the school. So here is my top 5 better options for finding contract work based on our discussions and how well I know you, Tim, on what you think. So definitely cold DMing people through LinkedIn, Twitter, or Facebook. I think that is the first place you should go. Right.
Yeah. Sorry. Did I have that the wrong way?
You had the green thumbs up. You had the green thumbs up, and I thought, yes, that's it. Speaking conferences. We talked about it last week.
if you have established reputation and can speak.
If you can, but it's something
to
look
frustrating if you're a student who has nothing to talk about. That would not be the first place I go. All right, I like it. I like it.
Number 3, going to your local user groups or find some local user groups. Like we said, I think we both agree that could be
that is a great idea. Yes.
And then how about also maybe creating tutorials on YouTube? That's something I didn't talk about.
Content about what you know to do. Better
blogging,
if you're established and you have expertise in certain domains.
Yep. And the last of my top 5. Once again, this is not in any order.
We only got 30 seconds.
It's not an order list, Tim.
Okay.
Is starting a podcast with your developer friends.
Starting a podcast. We'll see how it works. We will see how it works. I mean, he's used this to subtly tell his coworkers he's leaving. But we'll see if it actually drums up more work for Mark. Maybe next time.
Maybe.
That's a great top 5 list.
There you go.
Another one in the can. So turn that one off. Let's see. Oh, I should probably stop recording over here. And then we can not go live, end the stream.